Pancito, and today I am going to discuss the materials of music, which is the sound and time. So, the basic materials of music are sound and time. When you play an instrument or sing, it's amazing how you can speak right to my heart. You are producing sound, so it is important that you thoroughly understand these basic materials. Sounds are used to structure time in music. Time occurs in the durations of the sounds and the silence between sounds. In sounds, it is the sensation perceived by the organs of hearing when vibration or the sound waves reach the ear. In vibration also, it is the periodic motions of the substance. When you play an instrument, it is part of the instrument, the string, the sounding board, etc., and the air inside and around the instrument vibrate. The next is the compression and rarefaction. These terms refer to the alternation of increased or the compression and the decreased or the rarefaction pressure in the air caused by an activated or the vibrating surface or air column. One complete cycle of compression and rarefaction produces a vibration or the sound wave. The next is the frequency. In frequency refers to the number of compression or the rarefaction cycle that occur per unit of time, usually 1 second. Audible sounds for the human ear range from 20 to 20,000 cycles per second. The next is the 4 properties of sound. Sound has 4 identifiable characters or properties, which is the pitch, intensity, duration, and the timbre. Despite how complicated a composition may be, these 4 are the only variables with which composers and performers have to work. In pitch, it is the highness or lowness of a sound. Variation in frequency are what we hear as variation in pitch. The greater the number of sound waves produced per second of an elastic body, the higher and the sound we hear, the fewer sound waves per second, the lower the sound. For the tone, a tone is a musical sound of definite pitch. The next is the intensity. Intensity or the amplitude is heard as the loudness or softness of a pitch. In acoustics or the science of sound, intensity is the amount of energy affecting the vibrating body, and the physicist measures intensity on a scale from 0 to 130 in units called decibels. The next is the duration. Duration is the length of time a pitch or a tone is sounded. For patterns of duration, the following terms are used is a meter and a rhythm. Meter describes regularly recurring pulses of equal duration, generally grouped into patterns of 2, 3, 4 or more with one of the pulses in each group accented. These patterns are strong and weak pulses are called the beats. For example, the 2 basic meters are the double and triple. All other meters result from one combination of these 2. The next is the rhythm. It is the operating in conjunction with the meter. Rhythm is a pattern and uneven duration, while the steady beats of the meter combines to form measures. A rhythm may be a pattern of almost any length. Timbre is the tone quality of the color of the sound. It is the property of sound permits us, for instance, to distinguish the difference between the sound of a clarinet and an oboe. This sound quality is determined by the shape of vibrating body. Its materials are the metal, wood, human tissue, and the method used to put it in motion are the striking, bowing, blowing, and plucking. It is also the result of a human ear's perception of a series of tones called the harmonic series, which is produced by all instruments. Next one is the harmonic series. A harmonic series includes the various pitches produced simultaneously by a vibrating body. This physical phenomenon results because the body vibrates in sections as well as in a single unit. A string, for example, vibrates along its entire length as well as in halves, thirds, quarters, and so on. The last one is the partials. The pitches produced simultaneously by the vibrating sections are called partials or the harmonics. The first partial, often called the fundamental, and the series of partials constitute a musical tone. Since the fundamental is the lowest frequency and is also perceived as the loudest, the ear identifies it as specific pitch of a musical tone. Although the harmonic series theoretically goes to infinity, there are the practical limits. The human ear is insensitive to frequency above 2000. It is the abbreviation of Hertz, a standard measurement of frequency expressed in cycle per second. The next topic that I am going to discuss is the fundamentals of music. Music notation is much more precise and complicated than written language. When we notate music, we use symbols that show 3 of the 4 properties of sound described in the introduction, which is the pitch and duration. Pitch and duration are given accurately and relative intensity is indicated. Furthermore, pitch and duration are shown simultaneously. Notation of pitch is the term pitch describe the highness and lowness of the frequency of a tone. In music notation, pitches are represented by symbols positioned on a staff and identified with letter names. One of the fundamentals of music is the staff. This staff consists of 5 equally spaced horizontal lines. The next is the letter names. The letter names is the various pitches are referred to the first 7 letters of the alphabet, which is the A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, as the shown on the piano keyboard. The next is the cliff. A cliff is a symbol placed at the beginning of a line of music. This establishes the letter names of the lines and spaces of the staff. The next is the treble clef. The treble clef or the G clef is an ornate letter G. The curved line terminates at the second line of the staff, thus designating the letter name of a note that line as G. The next is the bass clef. The bass clef is called the F clef because it has derived from the letter F. The dots are placed above and below the 4th line of the staff, designating the line as F. The next is the grand staff. Together, the treble and bass staffs make up a grand staff, shows the point at which both clefs converge. The 2 C's are the same pitch. The middle C, the grand staff, is associated most often with keyboard music, shows the relationship between the grand staff, the standard 88K piano keyboard, and the middle C. The next is the ledger lines. Ledger lines pitches that go beyond the limits of the staff are written by adding ledger lines above or below the staff. Ledger lines which parallel the staff accommodate only one note. The next is the C clef. A C clef may be positioned or any line of the staff to designate middle C. This clef is coupled with a set of secondary names that identify each of the possible positions. The next is the alto clef. The alto clef is a C clef that designates the third line of the staff as middle C. It is the standard clef used in music for viola. The next one is the tenor clef. The tenor clef is a C clef that designates the fourth line of the staff as middle C. The tenor clef is occasionally found in music written for a cello, bassoon, or a trombone. In soprano, mezzo-soprano, and baritone clef are the C clef used less often than the alto and tenor clefs. In each case, the line indicated by the notch of the clef is designated as middle C. The next one is the octave identification. Since the pitch spectrum is so wide, it is often necessary to identify a specific C note by the octave in which it appears. Thus, middle C is distinguished from any other C in the pitch spectrum by the written designation C4. The 8th VA above the right portion of the treble staff means the pitch sounds an octave above the written note. This symbol is used when a large number of ledger lines make note reading difficult. A related symbol, 8AV, is used to indicate when a pitch sounds an octave below the written note. The system of octave identification 9 is recommended by the International Acoustical Society, and it is used in Braille music notation. Each octave of this system is numbered beginning with AO for the lowest note on the piano and extended to C8 for the highest note on the piano. Although the system is used throughout this book, your instructor may refer to the system. The octave identification, it is the system and it is often referred to as the Helmholtz system after the German acoustician who made the system popular. This widely used designation method has been prevalent since the 19th century. Accidentals. Accidentals are symbols that are placed to the left of the note heads to indicate the raising or lowering of a pitch. One of these are the sharp, the flat, the natural, the double sharp, and the flat sharp. The next one is the interval. An interval is the relationship between the two tones. In Western music, the half step is the smallest interval used. It is the interval between any two adjacent keys, which is the black or white on the keyboard. The next one is the inharmonic equivalent. Inharmonic equivalents are tones that have the same pitch but different names. The next is the half-step motion. In passage of music involving half-step motion, a flatted note is followed most often by a note with a different letter name, a half-step lower. A sharp note is followed most often by a note with a different letter name, a half-step higher in passages involving half-step motion, which is the notation of duration. The notation of duration is illustrated in the following chart. The tie. The tie is a curved line that connects two adjacent notes of the same pitch into a single sound with a different duration equal to the sum of both note values. The next one is the dot. The dot placed to the right of a note head, the dot lengthens the value of the note by half again its value. A second dot lengthens the dotted note value by a half the length of the first dot. Dots may also be used with the rest and affect them in the same way. The last one is the irregular division of notes. A note value may be divided or subdivided into any number of equal parts. Those divisions and subdivisions have required added numbers are called irregular divisions and subdivisions. The last topic for the fundamentals of music is the rhythm. The rhythm is a general term used to describe the motion of music in time. The fundamental unit of rhythm is in the pulse or beat. Even persons untrained in music generally sense the pulse and may respond by tapping a foot or even clapping. And that's all for the fundamentals of music. And that would be all for the materials of music, which is the sound and time, and for the fundamentals of music. Have a good day, everyone!